Hello everyone and welcome to Stonehearth. Now this is a game that's sort of been completely capturing my attention over the last several days now. It's very rare, especially lately, for a particular game to be so, interesting and captivating to me that I just can't put it down over a several day period, but that has been happening to me with this game just because, I don't know, it's sort of got some fresh ideas, and I will say to me, I'd say it's kind of like a dumbed down Dwarf Fortress, but it has 3D graphics, which definitely sets it apart considering a game like Dwarf Fortress is literally like, there barely is any graphical interface, but this game focuses a lot more on that. But you know what? Rather than talk about it, let's actually sort of get started, and there's a lot of things that go on in this game. It's a game that's sort of deceivingly simple, I think, at first, but once you sort of delve into it, there's a lot of, I guess, more intricacies that you can learn about. But it is a game in early access, so there's definitely going to be a lot that is going to be added, hopefully I should say, because you never really know with an early access game, of course. So we can start out and we can choose between two kingdoms. Now basically the only thing it seems like it does is when you start as this group, you have a very specific technology you're given, which I think is like carpentry, whereas when you start with these guys, you start with pottery, which what that does is it basically forces you to have to build your buildings and other things out of different resources, and it sort of forces you down a certain research path because of your starting technology. But I'm going to choose the Ascendancy because, at least to me, they seem like the more interesting and well-balanced group, although the other one is still interesting as well. But they are very unique, so after that we can choose between the Temperate and the Desert, and basically the Temperate's crafted for the Ascendancy people, whereas the Desert is more or less like mainly for the other group. I mean, you can obviously choose either one, but I think it makes a lot more sense to choose the one. I mean, it would definitely give you a harder time if you chose the other one, but it makes a lot more sense for us to choose Temperate. And I might regret this later, but I'm going to choose Hard Mode, and I'll tell you why I exactly might regret that later, at least if I remember to do so. So let's just go ahead and choose Hard. And let's go ahead and begin. And we start off with our expedition roster, and we've got these different people. I can rename them, but I probably won't bother. And they've got these different stats, and there's only 3 stats, and as you can see, depending on which one, if you read those, it tells you sort of exactly what they govern over. I won't get into it too much because it's something that, well, it's pretty easy to figure out as long as you read. And other than that, there's not much else to really see with regard to them. And then we get this Traveler's Store. So we start with 150 gold, and then we have all these things. And the thing is, you might wonder, why is it that, this is worth so much compared to all these other things? It's because I mentioned research paths earlier, and this one, being able to craft this particular item it takes a lot longer compared to, say, these 3. So that's why there's such a big difference in prices. So I'm actually going to choose this one, just because it would take us a long time to gain otherwise, and you'll see why that's a good idea to choose something like that early on. So we get this little sort of generated map, and you know what, I'm going to roll a new one. So you get sort of a semi-small map, I'd say, and then this little square here shows what region we'll actually be in, which is kind of weird to me how it generates such a small map, so it's like, it almost seems pointless for you to even be able to choose like the specific location. But anyways, depending on which location we choose, it has a certain amount of trees, wildlife, and minerals. And I think it's sort of deceiving because it makes it seem like if I chose right here, I wouldn't be able to find any minerals, which isn't necessarily true. Same with here. Like if I chose here, there's still plenty of trees and plants, so I don't know what necessarily governs those statistics, because I can still find plenty of any of these resources if I chose, here or here. Like, I couldn't find much if I chose here when it comes to trees and wildlife, but you can still find some, so I don't know what really governs that exactly, the little statistic thing it gives you. So I'm just going to choose, I think, like, right here, perhaps. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a big mountain in our bottom left, but otherwise we'll mostly be in sort of the plain area. Yeah, and it's weird, because here it says there's no minerals, but I can guarantee we'll find quite a bit of minerals here. Maybe not, though. I'm scared. I'm going to choose here, just because it's a little less concerning to me. Okay, we'll choose right here. Yeah, that scares me when it says there's no minerals, because I don't know what exactly governs those meters, like I said, but it seems kind of like they don't work that well. Alright, so we start out in the middle of a forest, and as you can see, the game has sort of a very, like, I'd say it looks like Minecraft, doesn't it? Like a very sort of Minecrafty art style, and you'll even see when we plop down our settlers, they even look kind of like Minecraft characters. Though the game does not play anything like Minecraft. So, let's see. Where do I want to plop down our little settlement? You know what? I'm gonna choose, I think, like right here. Yeah, that's a good idea. So we can choose a name for our settlement, the Rocking Comfort Glen. That's a weird name. I'll just do something very generic like Mountain View. Okay, that works, because we're by a mountain, so, you know, Mountain View, I know. I'm full of clever ideas here, aren't I? So, now we've got all these little settlers, and they're kind of just standing around doing nothing. So we've got all these little things down here, and I guess I'll go through a bit of a basic explanation of what they all do. This is just the town overview. It overviews the town, I know, right? Tells you what things you have, you know, journals, cool stuff. Town morale. That's something that was actually just added to in the newest update, is they sort of add a mood system, which it's not like RimWorld where your people can have mental breakdowns and kill each other. At least I don't think they're going to plan on ever adding that, but it mostly just affects work speed and things of that nature. So it's a cool little system, and yeah, there it is. There's a bit of a mood system, and depending on different factors, it'll either make them happy or sad, of course. So that's a cool new thing they just added, and I think it just got released like 4 or 5 or 6 days ago, something like that. So yes, after that, we've got this little colony overview, and right now we've got, I believe, 7 little... I shouldn't say colonists, because I guess citizens is a better choice, or maybe settlers would probably be better. So we've got that, and then we've got this little thing for harvesting things. So let's harvest. Let's go ahead and chop down the entire forest, because we're humans. Let's just destroy everything and claim it as our own. Why not? Okay, so let's take down all these trees, because we definitely need wood. I mean, how can you build a town without wood? So as you can see, they go through this wood very quickly. In fact, it's quite quick. And, well, as you can see, there's pause, play, and fast forward. And there's only a 2x speed for now, but even just on the, you know, a simple 2x speed, they go through those trees like they're butter, which will be helpful for us. So, anyways, I didn't go too much into the main goal of this game. The main goal is basically just to survive, you know? It's to build a nice little town and settlement, and it's kind of got sort of raids like I think Dwarf Forges or RimWorld or a lot of games like this have, where you get attacked, but instead of being attacked by other people for the most part, you seem to just be attacked by generic fantasy creatures and whatnot, you know, zombies and all that good stuff. So that's kind of just stuff you have to deal with. And anyways, after this little menu, we've got zones, or this menu, we've got zones, which lets us zone different things, of course. We've got the build and design. I'm going to pause because we don't want to be wasting too much time, especially not on this. And in this, we've got the main sort of meat of the game, which is the buildings. And there's a couple templates the game gives you, and if you go here, you can see I made some myself, which I'll definitely be using, and I'll show off, though, the custom creation. But yeah, I'd say the creation, and I'll just sort of show it off a little. It's very much, to me, it almost reminded me of The Sims, you know, especially the newer one. You basically just plop down floor, you put walls. You can obviously make more complex floor if you want to, you know, make whatever the heck you want to do. Although, it's a little bit clunky, I'd say. Like, for example, as you can see there, I couldn't add walls after I tried adding more flooring. You have to sort of all do it in one swoop. So, you can make any damn building you want. I don't know why I had a dam there, but apparently I'm angry, so whatever. So this is sort of the meat of the game, I think, is this building system. But unfortunately, when you first start out, it doesn't seem like, especially on hard mode, it takes a very long time and a lot of resources to make buildings. So I kind of just, you know, delayed doing it, because the only way to basically expand and get more settlers and expand your town is basically to well, you know, to get more settlers. So the only way to do that is if you get a lot of food and a lot of worth, which is represented here, the net worth. We have to make our net worth really high, either through inventory, buildings, or agriculture, and we need a lot of edibles. So if you try to concern yourself with a lot of building, you're not going to get any new settlers. So what I usually like to do, unfortunately, is I'll go into the, well, what we have to do is we have to go into here and go into the change job menu. And because we only have the trapper, I should say, we can't really choose too much, but let's go to change job, and we first get to choose a carpenter, which we're gonna need, but we also need a trapper. So let's get trapper. So as you can see, there's a lot of jobs, and they all basically are just different things people can do. And if you have that job, only the person with that job can do that particular activity. So let's go 3 times speed to let someone promote themselves. And the thing with that, though, is when someone gets a job, unfortunately, it makes them incapable to do other things. So as you can see, now that this person's a trapper, they can only haul and they cannot build and they cannot mine. So let's find someone else here. Haven, sure, I think you'd be a good carpenter. You don't have any spirit anyways, so you can be a carpenter. So let's make this guy here a carpenter for us. And the carpenter is the thing you really want. So we got a grizzled traveler, and that's the reason why I didn't buy food at first, is a grizzled traveler will always appear when you first start out, and it'll give you a nice little stockpile of food, which should keep you going as long as you don't make too many stupid mistakes. So now that we've got a carpenter and that, the thing we're really going to need to work on is going to this menu here, which shows you all your different sort of jobs that involve crafting things. And we're going to want to basically, well, first we're going to need this, because you can't craft much without a tool bench. So we'll make that get done. And because everyone else is standing around, there's also a better idea. We're going to make a stockpile, because we've got all this crap laying around, which we could probably use instead of just letting it sit around. So I'm going to make a little stockpile to make things a little more better organized, I should say. So I'm just going to plop that down. Alright, so we've got a carpenter's workbench, so what we're going to want to do is go into this menu and plop it down somewhere. We're going to actually make a building for it later on, or I should say a building for our carpenter later on, but for now, it's a good idea to just plop that down so we can actually make some things. Now, unfortunately, this happens a lot. There's a lot of UI errors, and the game is in early alpha, so whenever this happens, I just have to press F5, and I don't know, it happens to me a lot. I don't know why, but it happens to me like almost every other, like every 20 or so minutes it seems to happen to me, which gets quite annoying. So what we're going to want to do is, when someone gets a job, they're obviously not very good at it, so all this stuff that's grayed out, they cannot do, but all this stuff that's a sort of brighter color, they can do. So what I want to do is sort of just force this guy to make a bunch of stuff, and I might as well make stuff we're going to use in the future. So I'm going to make him craft 5 beds, and I think that should be good enough for now. And as you can see, if we go to his little character menu here, he now has this experience little meter here, and every time he crafts something, it goes up. So we're just going to let him get to the next level here, and you'll see why very shortly. Oh, he's almost there. So yeah, the game definitely has some RPG sort of elements as well in terms of the experience system and whatnot. So we're going to go back to here, and now he can make a couple other things. Though what we're really looking for is this farmer's hoe, but we cannot make that quite yet. So what I will make is we're going to need this, and the one thing the hard difficulty basically does is when we get raids, the enemies are a lot stronger. So I'm going to definitely want to make sure I have probably 3 of these, because the thing that's weird is, although any colonist can defend themselves, the only people that can really do it well are people that have the job of the footman. And basically what the footman does is they basically just defend the settlement, and that's about it. They don't really do anything else. I think they're only allowed, I'm not even sure if they're allowed hauling, to be honest. They kind of just tend to spend all their time patrolling, and that's about that. And the problem with that is, if you've got a bunch of footmen then obviously you're kind of just wasting your food and resources because you're not really making anything. You know, the footmen are just sort of defending you, they're not really doing anything. So it's kind of a balance, and I think I'm going to try doing something a little different where you can actually change someone's job back down to worker after you've assigned them. So what I think I might do is I'll have one sort of permanent person assigned to being a footman. So let's find someone who has some good skills. You should work, Shell. So, you are now going to be a footman. And then what I'll do is whenever we get a raid, I think I'll assign like 2 other people and I'll make sure I keep track of them. It might just be, I might just make it the 2 people on the bottom because that makes my life a little easier. And in Trilla or something might work. I think I'll find people with some very like subpar skills though, like Lolly here or whatever her name is. So then then there's no reason for me to make them have a full-time job like being a carpenter or, you know, a trapper. So yes, also with the trapper, now that we've got the trapper, we're going to need to assign trapping grounds. So I'm just going to choose a couple sections of wood nearby our little settlement here that he'll basically just set traps and get us a little bit of food and furs, which can make us both money and resources to build things with. So I'm just going to make a couple close by, and he'll start setting traps, because otherwise he won't really do anything, that trapper. I guess he will be hauling for now, but otherwise he's not really doing much of anything. So we've got this footman as well, so yes. Now what we're going to want to do is go back into here. Well, we're going to want to wait until we've got this, because that's something we really are going to need, because let me put it this way, if we don't focus on getting the farmer's hoe right away, we will probably all start dying from starvation, and I don't know, personally that's not the most fun thing, and I don't think I want the entire colony to be destroyed due to starvation, but hey, you never know. So yes, we have yet to deal with a raid, but then this other menu here is just to deal with commands for fighting, so it's nothing too interesting. I think what I will actually do is, this sort of will give us a bit of experience too for our crafter especially. I'm going to get started on this because everyone else isn't really doing much of anything, as you can probably tell. I'm going to make this, and this is one of the pre-built things, but I always like to do it right away just because it gets your carpenter a really good skill, and then it sort of gives him a building that he'll always go to, which is nice as well. So I'm just going to plop this down, and I'll be able to show off the building system as well, because that's one of the more interesting things. So as you can see, when you first assign the building, nothing's done, and then they start basically mining out the floor. And I have to say, it really looks like you're sort of assigning someone in Minecraft to do something, and then you're kind of just watching them in third person. Like, is that just me? But that's what I felt like whenever or at least when I first saw this. Doesn't it look like you're seeing a bunch of like Minecraft players that you just said like, hey, do this for me? And you're just kind of watching them from above like a god. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So, now that that's getting done, the one thing that it happens then is the game assigns all the things that will need to be built for that building, although as you can see, he doesn't have the skill to make most of these things in the first place, but they'll get done sooner or later anyways. The one thing I noticed though is I remember at first I was an idiot and I thought that you had to have these things already in your inventory like when you assigned a building. So I was an idiot and I kept going back and forth between this little blueprint menu and that menu there just because I was an idiot and I didn't realize it just automatically adds them to the like little to-do list. So I was just being stupid when I was playing earlier, so it's a good thing I figured that out, because that would have been a very stupid thing for me to do if I was showing this game off. A very, very stupid thing, so I don't know. I love just watching them, because it looks very interesting, you know? That's something, for some odd reason, when it comes to any sort of, like, strategy or, you know, town building or any game like that, I always love just watching the building get built. So the fact that you can literally see every block of the building get built by your people, and the fact that they like place these ladders and the scaffolding and all that cool stuff, I don't know. To me, it's just so awesome to watch, especially when you get the finished product and you're like, wow, I saw every brick of that get built. You know, I've just always loved that. And that's one reason I think I loved like the Lego games, is just because I loved seeing everything, like the Lego games, you know, on the PS2, and I think there's still new ones to this day. I always love just being able to, like, see every block of something get built. I don't know why, but there's just something very oddly satisfying to it, to me. So I just love watching this. I could just watch it for hours, probably. So, there we go. This is what I was waiting for. So we just got invaders. And the first invasion is obviously something quite small, and we also got the daily update. And basically what the daily update is it tells you, hey, do you have enough food, and do you have enough net worth to get new villagers? And obviously we do not, because we are not producing any food. But we're definitely going to want to get that done soon enough. So yes, our guy also got enough skill now, so I'm going to make some hoes here. Boats and hoes? No. Just hose. Okay, so now that that's getting done, I'm going to show this off a little. So what you can do is hit this little button here, and everyone will sort of run away and hide here. And then what will happen is your footmen will go ahead and deal with the situation, but especially when you've got low-level footmen and you only have one of them, it's not the best idea, so you might want to just go to this menu and send your footman over here. Because these people will defend themselves if they're attacked, but they won't seek out any sort of fighting. So we're just going to go over here. Just going to stay over here, and there we go. And one thing you'll notice is the people that are fighting, they kind of just run away. And that is, it seems to be sort of governed by that little statistic here, spirit. But also I think it's just the fact that if someone isn't assigned as a footman, then they're always going to just sort of run away like pansies. So that's just that. Also, make sure you unclick that, otherwise your people just stand around like idiots for hours on end. And as you can see, people are starting to get a little hungry already, just because we don't have any food, of course. And I believe he should have probably crafted one of the hoes already. Let's just see. No, not yet. Almost, though. We'll just have to wait a little. Come on. Saw that wood faster, buddy. Yeah, this is sort of just the generic animation whenever he's making something. Okay, so he made one. So now I'm going to want to find a farmer, because without a farmer, we have no food, and without food, we have dead people, and that's not good. So, there we go. Now someone's a farmer, which lets us get, oh, well, first I have to let them upgrade, or I should say promote themselves. So now we have this thing. So now we're going to want to make some farm fields, and suppose right here is about as good of a location as any, and we can choose between 3 for right now. Turnips, carrots, and pumpkins. I'm going to choose a turnip, because why not? And I'm going to choose all 3, because we're going to need a lot of food if we want more people. So that's the thing, is you need more food, and you need more, like, buildings, and you need more items if you want more people. So having a couple buildings as well as a bunch of food is very vital if you want more than the first 7 people, which you're really going to want, because obviously with only 7 people, we can definitely not have enough people to find, you know, all these jobs. So definitely that's something you need to work on right away, is getting as many new people as you can. And because you can only get 1 new person a day, we want to make sure that by the next in-game day, we're going to want to make sure we have enough food as well as enough like value of our colony, because yeah, we're gonna make sure we have, I think, like 550 of this and 50 of this, so that then we won't all die. So then we'll get more people, and then we can expand our little settlement here, and then we won't die, is what I should say. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end this episode here. So thank you all for watching. I hope I wasn't too disorganized with this, because I think I was all over the place, because I was trying to cover everything in this game in a short period of time, which I don't think I'm very good at doing that, so hopefully I wasn't too crazy sounding, but whatever. Thank you all for watching anyways, and hope to see you next time, because I really do enjoy this game, and at least personally I find it to be very fun. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.